Look, I like grapes too, but time and place. Why? Hey there, everybody. Nitpick rant time. And actually, this will be the first video where you get to see the new setup. It's not the first video I shot using this setup, so a little bit later on this month you're going to see a video where I'll say it's the first time shooting in it, and it'll seem redundant with this. Anyways, so let's do a little nitpick on a film that I love from a filmmaker I adore. But, oh, this drives me nuts. Pan's Labyrinth. Some actually, including some people very close to me, argue that it is the best film from acclaimed director Guillermo del Toro, a man of unique and beautifully twisted vision, a wonderful imagination. This is a terrific story about a young girl in this wonderfully dark fantasy world that begins to draw her in as she's in the midst of the Spanish Civil War, which is its own kind of horror. She's dealing with real world horror, fantasy horror at the same time. Fantastic creatures, amazing plot, gorgeously shot, terrific performances. But one scene, the Pale Man scene. And let's be clear, problem's not the Pale Man. Pale Man's awesome. Pale Man is so incredibly creepy, and also like there's some interesting reads that you can do on that character as well, as far as possible meanings behind him. But setting that aside, just viscerally, it's wonderfully, inventively creepy, and he's terrific. But God, okay. So the girl in this scene, she is warned ahead of time by the fawn, who's also awesomely creepy. Both played by Doug Jones, both him and the Pale Man. Hey, Doug Jones is the man. Anyways, she is warned to not eat anything from the feast that she sees. And she is given fairy guides, and she has to draw a door and go through, and there is a limited amount of time before the door shuts. So she goes down this hallway, enters this dining hall. There's the banquet, the feast. There's the Pale Man, seems to be asleep. And then there's, these locks, and there's a key thing she has to figure out the right. And she does that, and she gets what she came for. Everything's fine, and then she starts to leave, and she stops and looks at the food and goes for a grape. This is the sort of thing that I suspect is where Guillermo del Toro leaned a little bit too hard on this being a fairy tale style story, because that is the kind of thing that would happen in a fairy tale. But the thing is, the way you traditionally hear a fairy tale is by reading it, or more accurately to tradition, having it told to you. And somebody telling it to you would have given you insight into this girl's thought process as to why the hell did she do that? I can come up with a bajillion headcanons as to why, but there's nothing on screen explaining why. Does the food have a kind of hypnotic effect on her? She tries to tell the fawn later she didn't think anyone would notice. Does she actually believe that? Or is that her excuse later? Because nothing about her performance seems to think, ooh, I'll be sneaky and get away with this. There wasn't any kind of setup like, oh, grapes are the most amazing thing. I'd do anything for grapes. In my memory, there had been a thing about like she hadn't had dinner or something, but that's not in there. Like, my head was trying to plug the holes and had decided that that was part of the story, but it's not. She just grabs a grape. But it's worse than that. She doesn't just grab the grape. She looks at the grape, and one of the fairies gets up in front of her and is like, She waves it off. Then another, she plucks the grape and another fairy, she waves it off again. These are the things guiding you. They are trying to guide you to the world you want to be in, and you're ignoring them and ignoring the fawn to have a grape? Not to mention the fact that there's a timer still going. You are wasting time in here for a grape. So many things that could have been done to make this more plausible. If they'd had something like she annoyed the captain and was denied dinner, or if there'd been some sort of sense of magical allure from these things that was going to entice her and like override her good senses, that's not really established. Again, I would have bought it. Would have made total sense. None of these things are in here though. All that we watch is a girl who wants to please these fairies, ignore instructions from the fawn, and then 2 warnings from the fairy. Heck, it would have helped if even just the fairies hadn't been so articulated in such a normal human way. If they had been more like zipping around little balls of light that couldn't gestate in a normal human fashion, then maybe they would have come across as just knowing, and her brushing them off like bugs would have made more sense. But no, they're little people and their body language is super clear. No, don't do that. And she brushes them. What is wrong with you? Why are you being so freaking stupid? And I know you're a kid, and I try and make allowances for it, that child characters, younger characters, are allowed to do stupider things because, well, maybe they don't properly understand the consequences, but there is nothing that makes sense about this. Even through that lens, I can't buy it. She's trying to save her mother. There's a timer that's gonna trap her. She has been warned by the fawn, these fairies. She just saw this thing sitting there. She's looked at the mural at the fact that it eats children, and she risks it all for 2 grapes. I'm sorry. That really takes me out of the movie because it stretches the credulity of the character. And that's my one nitpick with this otherwise brilliant friggin' film. So that's my rant on that. What are your thoughts about this? Did I ruin the movie for you? Did that bug you before? Am I the only one? I don't know. Whatever's the case, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Usual stuff to do. You know what it is. Like, subscribe. I got a Patreon. I have another channel. Links for appropriate things are down in the description. Go ahead and click them, or you also don't have to. These are not commands. I'm not giving you a task that you must do by the full moon. Do as you will. Eat a grape. It's fine. Because at the end of the day, you're the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.